All right, so we're back for another day working on the box truck, and today we need to build a wall across the back and a door frame, at least framing the door, if not get the door installed. Yesterday, the last video you saw from this probably, I was taking out the roll-up door and the tracks up top and everything, so we got a nice even blanker slate to work with now. When it comes to these lower rails, we took them off as far as here. They were jointed here. It was a bit of a challenge getting the rivets out and everything. I think I'm going to leave these in, and the reason is the rivets are ground off from the door hitting it. So I probably would have to use like an angle grinder and make a mess, and they actually serve a convenient purpose though, because they're exactly the right thickness to set a 2x4 into. And they set in there nicely, and then we'll just, there you go, it's all in. And we're using pressure treated on the bottom here. And I'm about to put a top plate in up here that's going to run from all the way across, and we'll tie these together. And then we'll do our framing in here. Yeah, I'm kind of making this up as I go because it's kind of a puzzle, and I don't have any fancy 3D CAD diagrams or anything. We're just kind of fitting things together. We know what we want to end up with, and that's kind of how I build anyways. I have a picture in my head, and then I make it go. And it always works, and nothing ever falls apart because I kind of overbuild. There is a gap here where there used to be weather stripping, and then we're going to actually leave that, and we'll fill this. We're going to put plywood on the face here, and it'll tuck right in there, and then we'll be able to water seal it up nicely. So I'm going to get a measurement for the top here, and we'll dive into this. It's supposed to be nice. All 10-day forecast was great when I started taking the door off yesterday. We got hit with a rain and hail storm in the afternoon. And so now I'm like in a hurry to try and get the back end closed in just in case it decides to rain again, because this is Wyoming and the weather forecasts here are not very helpful. So once we get that closed in, you know, we can do work inside if the weather's not great, but that's kind of the big thing for right now is getting this wall closed in. So we'll try and show you as many details as we can, but we're making it up as we go. Melody's gonna have to be helping me with some parts of this. So some of it may just be like time lapses or B-roll sequences, but we'll try and explain what we do. And of course, every box truck is probably different. All right, we're gonna drive in and we get a little more done here. These 2x4s on the bottom are just placeholders right now. We will be installing pressure treated lumber there, but we gotta figure out where we're putting the door exactly. We were gonna put the door in the center, and then Melanie kind of pointed out it may be difficult to get in and out that way. We have a trailer hitch there and the bumper's cut away to accommodate the trailer hitch. So I think we're gonna go with the passenger side, and it'll be something like this where we already got a grab bar here, and the door is gonna open out. We'll have it open this way so that it's easy to go in. And I think that's going to be the best way to do it. I want the door on the passenger side because if you're loading from the street or anything, if we're parked on the side of the road, you know, it keeps us away from traffic while we're coming in and out. And right now I'm in the kitchen, or what we think is going to be the kitchen, and now I'm in the hallway or the entryway coming into the truck. Yeah, we'll get on with this, and we'll check back in with you in a minute and show you how it's going and where we're at. By the way, I heartily recommend Ryobi power tools, these cordless power tools. They're great. Every Home Depot carries them, and they have like a huge selection of tools you can run off of the same batteries. You can order them on Amazon, but Home Depot does not sell them on Amazon. So there's a bunch of third-party people selling them, and they tend to be more expensive than just buying them from Home Depot. And Home Depot does have some good sales. So if you want to check them out, either go to the store or go to homedepot.com, and sometimes they'll have some good sales on bundles. You can get, that's really the best value, is with the bundles. We get several tools plus a couple batteries, because the batteries are pricey. But I was pounding on them yesterday between saws and Sawzall and drills, and so they really got to work out, and they perform very well. These have come a long ways since they first came out with them. And I'm distracted watching deer running through the backyard again. All right, this is our top piece here that hopefully is gonna fit. If I didn't make it just a whisker too big, like I probably did. Yep. All right, I gotta take, wow, did I off by that much? All right, we're gonna take a little bit off this and try again. That's better. That one will need a little persuasion. These brackets up here are welded in, and the welds are a little messy. Nothing the mini sledge won't take care of, though, I don't think. All right, it's in. Now we'll secure these together. The other side has at least one hole, but I'll drill a couple holes in these later and set some screws in just to further hold this in. But once it's all tied together, it's not going anywhere anyhow. And these, you know, there'll be wherever the door is, there's actually going to be, we'll put in a normal threshold so there's less of a trip hazard. I don't want to trip going out the door, you know. It's a long ways down. We're sagging a little in the middle there, huh? Well, we'll push it up when we get some studs in, some framing. Well, that battery ain't holding up. That's better. I was trying to save the big batteries for the saws, but it didn't quite work out, so. See how that fits. And by the way, I'm using Torx Bic construction screws for this. These are much preferable to Phillips head. They don't strip out the same way. They're easier to work with. So I definitely recommend these too. No commission or anything there. No, not sponsored, just my son turned me on to them, and it's kind of the best I've found since. So we're gonna secure this on here, and then we'll have our framing set up, ready to go, except for the base down there that I have to figure out where exactly we're putting the door. All right, I just charged the, oh, that did sink in. Okay, I thought it didn't go in all the way. I'm like, I just charged these batteries last night. What's going on? But it just sunk it, completely countersunk it the first time through, that's all. All right, get that lined up like you like it. And this opening is a solid steel frame, so on all four sides, all welded together. So it's not going anywhere anyway. We just want to make sure that our wood wall within the steel frame is secure and not going anywhere either. That is solid. That wall is not going anywhere. Now the million-dollar question is, what are we doing with the door? Do we want a window in the kitchen? Or more precisely, do you want a window in the kitchen? Maybe a door window. Maybe a door window. Well, a vent can go between a 16 or 24 hole. I'm not worried about that. So,
I mean, we can get a window on the side.
16-inch on center would be right there. And that's going to be the outside edge, so it'll be 14.5 between them. Okay. And then 32. We probably could do 24. I mean, I don't think it matters much, but, and then 48. Still don't know what I'm doing about a door, but. Nice square walled box truck and warped lumber. We get to continue our trend. But I do like the fact that the walls are more square than I'm used to anyways. I'm going 16-inch on center for no particular reason. 24-inch would be just fine too, but this will give us plenty of studs, and we may in the future, we're probably going to in the future put some outside storage boxes, and I'm not sure exactly how they'll be mounted, so a good strong wall will give me plenty of stuff to work with. And I am still going to drill through and bolt these on, or structural screw, something, these through the metal on the bottom plate here. I just haven't got to that yet, but that will happen. So you may or may not see it in a video, but it's going to happen before we put all the insulation in. So. And this lumber's a little bit, this one's bowed down, so we're cutting it a little tight to try and push it back up. It'll be snug against this bracket up here that I didn't take out. We'll probably end up with some kind of like storage closet or something up here. I don't know. That's what people seem to do with these. Now, where is my, there it is. A nice knot right there, right where I want to put a screw. This knotty tree, we got a knotty pine tree. And I don't really care if those ones on the inside completely countersink, because we're just putting insulation in there, so it won't hurt anything. Weird having a wall back here. I've gotten used to it being wide open, which is kind of nice, but the wall's going to be more practical for us. And we will be doing some waterproofing down below here too, even though I haven't really explained that yet, but it'll happen. And there's also, you can see here, there's a drainage channel. The door used to close like so, and this is a drainage channel. And you can't really see them now, but there are weep holes in it. So if any water does get under here, it's going to run out to the weep holes anyway. So, and of course we'll be caulking everything up. You could put butyl tape down as well. We did not, but you could do that. But I'm really, at this point, motivated to get a wall on here before it keeps getting wet inside, and then we'll deal with everything else from there. But this will be all weather sealed good. We'll get some flashing in as appropriate, and make sure it don't get water into our house, which is what was happening before. So, sister in something here. That should be 14.5 inches, but I know it's going to be, so I'm not even going to worry about it. Make sure we're still at 16. Yeah, 16 is going to be just wide, so we'll go 14.5 though. All right. I am sistering this together to make our pressure treated base plate here, because we had 2 4-foot lengths left over from working on the van high top roof. So I don't want to buy another pressure treated 2x4. So we're just joining them together this way, which will be more than strong enough for our purposes. So the other reason we went with 2x4s instead of 2x3s was because it gives us room for more insulation on this exterior wall. That's feeling like it'll be a good enough sized door. I think. Oh, we only got one more. I guess I estimated just right. That's not a bad door. I think that'll work. Even though it's not the 32 we were thinking about originally. Oh, gonna go through? No kidding. All right, I thought it might be harder than that. All right, we're attempting to get some screws through here. I tried using these self-tappers. I've seen people do this on YouTube, and it's always true if it's on YouTube, but in this case, they don't want to go through. I'm just burning up the bit on the screw, with the tip on the screw. So I did pilot it with a slightly smaller bit. We'll see if that helps it get through. Here goes nothing. There we go. Whoops, I just ripped out the head of that screw. I wanted to find hex heads and we couldn't find them, so we got what we got, and maybe we're gonna be in luck though. All right, yeah, that's stripped out, but oh well, it's in. All right, well, we'll drill a few more pilot holes and sink a few more, see if we can keep them from stripping out. These are, I hate Phillips head for this sort of thing, but it's what they had. They didn't have, they had some hex nut heads, but they were not large enough for what we needed to do, so. And I'll see if I can get at least 2 in each stud bay. That should be plenty to help hold it in place. You can see light down there. So the fancy new drill bits are going through. I went to pick up drill bits yesterday and they had this set on clearance for, I don't know, 230 bits for like 20 bucks on clearance. And I was about to spend 13 for a much smaller kit, the exact same stuff. So we picked these up. We'll get some leverage on this, see if maybe I can avoid stripping it out. Nope. Well, it's in there, sort of. It's not all the way in though. Doggone it, man. We should have gone to a different store and found some better ones. That's totally rounded out. These things are garbage. Oh, goodness. All right, well, we'll see if we can get another 1 or 2 in, but this is just insulation going to be in here, so I guess we'll wrap insulation around it, right? There we go, that bit better. Should have made these bays 24 inches instead of 16. Having a hard time getting my shoulders through. This is ridiculous. Do not buy these screws. You're wasting your money. Just totally stripped out. They're just garbage. I may or may not get motivated enough to come back around with vice grips and try and get them removed. But there we go. That's better. All right, I'm gonna try and, I think I'll grab some vice grips, see if I can get them out, because the hole's already piloted. It'd be nice to get another one in there. Last time I went on a road trip without vice grips in my toolkit, which actually did happen, we were up in the Bighorn Mountains for the Gambler 500, and we blew out a radiator hose, a heater hose specifically, and I didn't have any vice grips to clamp it with, so we bent it over and used wire ties, but then somebody else who was at the event loaned me some vice grips to clamp it, and I haven't seen him since, but next time I see him I'm supposed to give them back to him because he was using them to open the hood on his car that he brought to the Gambler. So I think he's from down in Colorado, but we'll bump into him sooner or later and I'll give him his vice grips back. But I since came home from that trip and bought a couple pair of vice grips because I realized I should not be without them when I'm traveling because they're so versatile and useful.
I had a pair in the Prius.
Melanie's even got a pair in the Prius, so always have vice grips. There you go. And always be gambling, as they say in the Gambler 500 world. ABG, hashtag ABG, always be gambling. All right, I'd like to get 1 or 2 more good screws in here just to make sure this wall doesn't move, because this is the wall that's, the door is going to be mounted on. Look at those heads, they just disintegrate. And like I said, I didn't want to buy Phillips, it's just all we could find in the size we needed. So hopefully this will fit better. And I did check that the bit's the right size, it fits in there nice and snug. It's just garbage screws. Don't buy them. There we go. Made in China. I knew it. But you know what? This is Wednesday. After today, they're going to be twice as expensive, so maybe Home Depot can source some American-made screws if there's anybody left making screws in America. But if you're watching this and you make screws and self-drilling screws in America, please contact Home Depot and offer to sell them some screws, because I'll pay a little extra for ones that don't strip out. Because when I throw half of them away, I'm not saving any money. Why do you not want to go through now? Oh, we have a hole there. Thought I had a hole through there. Oh, this wind, man. It was supposed to be nice this week. There we go. All right. Now, I'd like to get one more over here. Might remove this one just for kicks because it didn't do anything anyway, so. It'll be tidy inside the wall that nobody's ever going to see but me and Melanie and however many of you watch this YouTube video. But once the wall's put together, nobody else will ever see it. It'll just be the stuff of urban legend. Rumors will be swirling around the internet on other YouTube channels about Witham didn't really get all the screws set into their steel and he didn't pull them, he left them in there. And my grandfather, Bill Bailey, was a heck of a handyman. And he would never bend over a screw or leave a bent over nail or anything like that, so had to pull them out and do it right, so. I wouldn't want to think of him looking down from heaven, cringing at his grandson Bob, leaving a mess with Chinese self-tapping screws. Hopefully the screws we picked up to put a little piece of trim in the van are going to work better than these. But however, this wall ain't moving anywhere already, so if I can get one more in over here, I'll be happy. We'll call that good. There we go. There we go. I'm learning. Now when I strip out another one, I'll have a better way to remove it. I wonder if we can take back half a box and tell them they were defective. See if they want to send them back to China.
I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
Gotta love it. Snap the screw right in half. Well, don't tell my grandfather, but that one's staying because it did bite in partly before it broke off. So it's sort of functional just with missing a head. So, but the wall ain't moving. That's really all I care about. Wow. Here goes nothing. Now we got to decide if we're just painting this, or if we want to like shiplap it, or what we want to do with it. But today I'm just worried about getting it closed in. I'm going to mark these so I don't miss and put a hole in our exterior wall. Well, if the defective Chinese screws were not challenging enough, we're also dealing with ridiculous wind this afternoon, which is lots of fun when you're trying to work with plywood and stuff. You can hear it kind of rattle on the roof here. But we got the wall in. We do not have a door yet, but the wall is there. We still needs to be insulated, finished up inside, of course, and we need to do some weather sealing. I thought I was going to be able to tuck it up between the studs and this metal here, and it didn't quite work, so I thought it would be up there, so we'll have to weather seal that and take so that nothing gets in there. That's not a big deal. The door we got to figure out. That's going to be on tomorrow's project. It's getting to be late afternoon and the wind is ridiculous, so we're not going to mess with it anymore today. But I will double check some measurements and we'll look around, decide how we want to handle that. I think we ended up around 28 inches or something. So that'll be coming up in probably the next video. That's actually the next pressing thing we got to do. And then coming around up front, we are going to enlarge this pass-through by a few inches at least on the width and come up another inch or two and trim off the bottom. So that'll be appearing in a future video. And after that, we're going to start the other pressing thing. We'll start getting some wood strips, some slats, and some insulation so we can start insulating walls. We're not actually sure which feature we're putting in first, but the kitchen is probably going to be going in this back corner, so that could start going in. Sleeping area is going to be up in the front here, so I'm not sure which one we want to build first, but we will figure it out. But for sure, I think the door is the next thing, so we can seal it up. So as soon as the wind settles down. If you enjoyed this video, we have an entire playlist with videos from this box truck build project, turning this cargo box truck into a tiny home on wheels.